Now from Atlanta News First Plus, this is Sports Tonight.
We made it to Friday, Emily.
We're here.
We're here. We made it to Friday. Welcome to Sports Tonight here.
It's been a busy week. Seriously,
it
has been.
This has been one of the more busy weeks in sports in a long time. Anyway, look, I'm
It's
sports
like football
producer Scott.
season.
Yeah,
That's what it feels like.
well, it kind of is football season, right?
Yeah.
It kind of is football
There's
season.
big decisions being made for football season. Facts.
That's facts. Hey, so as always, I introduce myself. I'm sports producer Scott Pennyman with the great
Just
Emily
in
Gagnon.
case you didn't know.
Just in case you couldn't read this.
And the great
thing
Ellie
at
is
the bottom.
behind the camera tonight.
Well,
So
Ellie.
we've got Ellie, Scott, and Emily in the house, which is by far the best group.
Ellie's
I
the
think.
one who does all the work anyway.
Yeah, she really is.
Right. I mean, so
She gets the cred. She gets the
the
street cred.
So, if of course, it's a Friday and the Hawks are playing, which means they're going to be on Peachtree TV and the Peachtree Sports Network tonight, right? Against the Utah Jazz in Utah. Two sort of struggling teams right now. Two teams that are on the struggle bus. I mean, the struggle bus has been big for the Hawks here late in the season. I mean, even though they're trying to climb their way to a playing spot.
Have they gone 5-5 though? In their last 10?
Yeah, I mean,
if not, they've gone
So
4-6.
overall, they're 29-36.
Yeah, their overall
When you look at
record is
yeah.
not good.
When you look at them right now, they're in the 10th spot in the Eastern Conference. Well, honestly, when you look at it, they're kind of locked. They're going to make the play-in tournament because right now they have 36 losses unless somebody from behind jumps them really quickly because the Nets have 40 losses. So they're 4 games up on the nearest team in Eastern Conference. So believe it or not, this Hawks team is probably going to have an opportunity to play for a spot in the playoffs.
Isn't that kind of wild, though, like that we – and this is nothing against the Hawks. This is against the NBA. That we reward
Against
teams
them.
with such bad records.
Well, I mean, I think that was something put in by Adam Silver so that it adds a thrill to the end of the regular season when you
so
have a play-in
thrilled.
tournament so that some of these teams will have an look, if it wasn't for the play-in tournament, I don't know that the Lakers will make the playoffs. I mean, and those are teams I'm sure the NBA wants in the playoffs. When you look
Yeah.
at the Lakers, Golden State, they may play each other in the first round of the play-in tournament. So
Great point.
I think the NBA loves that because I don't think they want LeBron James and the Lakers missing the playoffs or both them and Steph Curry missing the playoffs. I mean, that would be disastrous for the NBA to have no LeBron and no Steph make the playoffs. So I think for them it's not bad business. But, yeah, I mean, if you get let's be real. I mean, are the Hawks probably going to win that playing game anyway? I mean, that's going to be
Who
tough.
do they
right
face
now.
right now?
So right now, if they do make if they made the play-in tournament, they would face the Bulls, which I guess is winnable, maybe. I mean, they've had their share of problems too. I mean,
But then if you lose, you play again, right? Like, how does it work again?
so I think if you're in the 9, from what I understand, if you're in the 9 and 10
forgot.
spot, you lose, you go home. When you're in the 9 and 10 spot, and then
7
if
or
you
8, you lose, and you still have a chance.
yeah, so
That's right.
if you're 7 or 8, you lose, and then you go on to play in the other one. So yeah, I mean,
They've played in the play in the last 2 years, have they not? Am I wrong about that, or am I right? I'm not even sure. I think.
yeah, I think definitely last year. Yeah, so look, now it's a little different team. I don't
And
know.
they've moved on though from it. Like they've won the
Yeah.
play-in tournament.
Now look, it may be a little bit different scenario this year because we don't know what they'll look like as far as Trae Young. Is he even going to come back this year and come back?
Remember how you were saying you didn't think that Brock Bowers should come back once he got injured? Like I keep hearing
You
people
going down
say
this road
like
with
Trae
Trae?
shouldn't come back. Like just stay away.
I mean, that
and
may
go
be
to
the,
another team.
wow, go to another team. I thought
Yes.
you meant like come back next year stronger.
No,
to
like
another
go
team?
ahead and head out to another team.
Wow. Okay. Well, hey, I mean,
I think anything's possible at this point.
yeah, I mean, I think it's possible that he goes to another team, of course. I mean, who knows what's going to happen once the season ends? I mean, I think this could be, me personally, I think if the Hawks lose in the play-in tournament and they go home, I think this could be the end of the road for a lot of things with the Hawks. I think this could be one of those situations where they clean house because they may realize that this group of Hawks may have gotten as far
And Quinn
as they
Snyder's
could go.
staying because he still hasn't been here long enough.
Maybe.
And no, I don't think he's going anywhere. So I think they'll keep him, and like he will be the deciding factor of who comes through. And be like, who do I want in my system? These guys are clearly not picking up on his defensive-minded magician-ness.
You're probably right because that was Fields. He kind of handpicked Quinn Snyder, so I mean he probably wants him to be the guy moving forward. But you know how coaches are in the NBA. I mean, they come
They're
a dime a dozen.
dispensable.
I mean, they're very dispensable. So, but yeah, I mean,
I don't feel like we've had a true taste of it. And he probably feels like he doesn't have the players to implement whatever he wants to implement. But at the end of the day, that also tells you how good of a coach he might be. Because you have to be able to work with the roster you have at times, right?
Right. I mean, the coach may tell you a little bit about Quinn Snyder, right?
But he's, I think, one thing for me for tonight, this particular game, I'm sure he wants to win it because obviously he used to be with the Jazz.
Yeah.
And the Jazz were very good when he was there defensively. They were like one of the best in the NBA. So, I don't know, but that game is definitely on Peachtree TV tonight, Peachtree Sports Network. Late tip, though, 9:30 tip. They won the last time they played each other, and that was at home here in Atlanta.
The Jazz are on the struggle bus, too. I'm looking at their record this
What's
year.
their record?
They're 28-37, but they're
very similar.
But they're not going to make the play-in tournament. I mean, when you look at the standings right now, the Warriors are the number 10 team in the play-in tournament in the Western Conference. They have 31 losses. They're 36-31. And the Utah Jazz are 28-37. So they're a full 6 games behind the Golden State Warriors. So, look, that's a good opportunity for the Hawks because they're struggling and they're playing another team on the struggle bus. But the Jazz are in a worse position on that struggle bus. I mean, they're in a bus right now with 12 different passengers on it, and all of them are named Utah Jazz. You know what I'm saying? That team is headed home at the end of the year. That's one of those teams that's really spiraling into nowhere, and they're kind of similar to the Hawks, except they don't really have a player like Trae Young on that roster. So that's kind of a team that's been spinning their wheels. They've been spinning their wheels for a long time. It seems like the Jazz have been spinning their wheels since Karl Malone and Stockton left, But, hey, I think if you're the Hawks, you're looking forward to it because you have another opportunity for a win. So check this out today. And it's funny.
You have another opportunity for a win.
Yeah, I mean, look, at this point, beggars can't be choosers, right? So pretty huge news today in the NFL. Aaron Donald.
He's out.
One of the great defensive players probably in NFL history retired today. And so it really got me to thinking with that. I mean, it's not shocking news, right, because he's 32 years old. So it wasn't,
But that's still, it's old in NFL years, but that's still so young. Like, you have so many years ahead of you, right? To,
in life, yeah.
Go out and do things. That was just your first career. Now he can go on and do whatever he wants.
Sure. And it really got me to thinking when you think about what Aaron Donald has been in the NFL, you grew up watching some really good defensive players, right? You're a Bucs fan, right? So you got to watch the great Warren Sapp play. When you think about Aaron Donald, his time in the NFL, where would you rank him among the all-time greats that I guess at least you've seen?
Why would I listen? I don't think Warren Sapp's probably as good of a human as Aaron Donald is.
That's going down a whole nother road there. You're talking about humans. And
I do think that Warren Sapp perhaps is a little bit better and nastier. But he probably ranks in. Are we talking about like NFL history?
Yeah, I guess just as far as the guys. Yeah, let's say NFL history.
Wouldn't NFL history he'd be like top 25? Would he not?
Oh, for sure. I think when
Would you rank Fletcher Cox ahead of him?
No.
Okay.
And Fletcher Cox was an outstanding player, had an outstanding career with the Eagles, but no, I wouldn't put him ahead of Aaron Donald. I think when I'm rating the best defensive players I've ever seen play in my life, and I've probably been watching football since the late 1980s.
I'm trying to gauge where you're at here, so I'm glad you're about to tell me.
Yeah, so since the late 1980s, I would say the most dominant defensive player I've seen play in my life was Lawrence Taylor.
Okay.
By far, there's still no one who I'm putting ahead of him.
What about Simeon Rice?
A really good player, but I wouldn't put him as far as the most dominant.
Not most dominant, but he's like, I'm trying to gauge like where you're like. If you're saying Lawrence Taylor, who comes behind Lawrence Taylor?
There's no one even close to Lawrence Taylor in my mind.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like who? So again, I'm trying to gauge like where you're at in like this like top 10. Like give me a top.
So like my top tier. So when I'm thinking about like the top 5 defensive players I've ever seen. So I'm going all positions on defense, not just defensive line. Just as far as
okay.
So just okay,
what
but
about
if I'm
Champ Bailey, because like I mean this is like.
It's really wide. So
yes.
Top 5 defensive players I've ever seen, I would go Lawrence Taylor.
Okay.
I'm going Reggie White.
Okay.
I'm going Ray Lewis. I'm going Deion Sanders. And I might put Aaron Donald at number 5. I think that's where I'm putting Aaron Donald.
All those guys are like old school.
Yeah, I mean,
and he's like the newest of the new school.
Yeah, I mean, because just when you look at the impact he had on the game, I mean, sometimes teams will have 3 or 4 guys trying to block him. When you think about his impact and his imprint on the game, like I say, I have no problem putting him behind Lawrence Taylor. I have no problem putting him behind Ray Lewis and his impact. I have no problem putting him behind Deion Sanders and Reggie White. But I believe that Aaron Donald belongs in the same class of those guys as far as impactful defensive players
Dick
and
Butkus.
the impact they had on their team. Now, I never even came close to seeing Dick Butkus play. So,
I'm looking at lists right now.
yeah, I never even seen him close. He's a little older than me, you know what I'm saying? So I never even came close to seeing him play. So I'm just going by the guys I've ever seen, because a lot of times people like to say best of all time, and I'm just not one of those people that likes to do that, because I don't like to give
What about Ed Reed?
Ed Reed is one of the best, too. I mean, it's hard. I mean, there were some great defensive players in that era who I've had the opportunity to see play. Troy Polamalu, those kind of guys. But if I'm talking about the top 5 defensive players I've ever seen play, like I say, Lawrence Taylor is number 1, and he's a solid number 1 in that spot. I don't see anybody in my lifetime jumping over him, but I have no problem putting Ray Lewis behind him, putting Reggie White right there, Deion Sanders, and then Aaron Donald, number 5.
J.J. Watt's got to be like top 15, right?
Maybe top 15, yeah. I don't think he had the overall impact on the game the way Aaron Donald did, but I have no problem saying J.J. Watt can be mentioned with some of those guys, for sure. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, just tremendous career for Aaron Donald. He was able to get that. Mike Singletary. Yeah, Mike Singletary was a great player. I kind of came in on the edge of his career a little bit. I do remember him being a really good player, but I just remember Lawrence Taylor being like the most dominant game changer I've ever seen. Watching stories, watching specials about Lawrence Taylor, and just watching how special he was. Bill Belichick, by far, who was obviously, look how many great players Bill Belichick has coached, right? He said there was no one close on the defensive side of the ball that he's ever coached against was better than Lawrence Taylor. You should have seen a press conference some years ago. There was someone who even suggested that Khalil Mack, someone asked him how much did Khalil Mack remind him of Lawrence Taylor. And Bill Belichick rarely gets animated in these press conferences. Bill Belichick goes, now wait a minute now. That's Lawrence Taylor we're talking about.
Yeah.
And, of course, he was Lawrence Taylor's defensive coordinator with the Giants. So he's like, no. There's nobody who reminds me of Lawrence Taylor. And that's where I'm at. For as great as Aaron Donald was in his career, I could not put him above Lawrence Taylor and what Lawrence Taylor was in his career. I mean, just from what I saw in my eyes tell me I may not have a whole lot of stats and numbers and analytics and advanced metrics and everything to back that up, but my eyeballs tell me alone that Lawrence Taylor was a more dominant defensive player.
Different, and I don't mean to interrupt you, a different time in football.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, guys are not trained to be that evil.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different.
You would get like flagged upon flag, ejected, bye, see you later. Like, you couldn't do that.
And that's why I say that Aaron Donald is the best of. He's easily the best of this era, this generation, for sure. I mean, if I'm thinking about the last 20 years of football, I would say without question, Aaron Donald is the most dominant defensive player, right behind Ray Lewis. I mean, watching Ray Lewis early in his career with that 2000 Ravens team, that was the most dominant defense I've ever seen in my life, was that 2000 Ravens, and Ray Lewis was the best player on that defense. So I can't put Aaron Donald above him just because I remember the domination on that defense. But in the last 20 years, I have no problem putting Aaron Donald right behind Ray Lewis as the second most dominant defensive player in the last 20 years.
Okay.
So, I think Warren Sapp, he too belongs in that group, because I remember how
that defense was really good.
It was that 2002 Bucks team
Yeah.
that won the Super Bowl. There's 4 Hall of Famers on that defense. So, John Lynch, Derek Brooks, Warren Sapp, and Rondé Barber, all in the Hall of Fame. And you can make a really strong argument for Simeon Rice too, who you just brought up. I mean, he could.
I don't know why he came to mind, but he was like, I remember thinking he was such a good defensive end in his prime. He was so good.
He was. I mean, you could make a strong argument for him being a Hall of Famer as well.
I'm kind of surprised he's not, now that I think about it.
Yeah, he was a dominant defensive player. I mean, and you remember because you watched him. So, best of wishes, best of wishes for Aaron Donald moving forward, whatever
I'm
endeavors
sure
he's going to
he'll be on TV
have.
or do something.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be
He'll
able to
find
do
his
whatever
way
he
to-
wants.
yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Or if he just wants to sit on an island the rest of his life.
That's probably
he
what I
could
would do.
probably do that too.
That's probably what I would do if I was in this case. I mean, he's
Yeah.
spent his career knocking his head against other offensive linemen. I mean, take a rest, right?
Yeah.
So we jump from Aaron Donald to guys who were trying to be like Aaron Donald, have his sort of career one day over at Georgia Tech. They held their pro day today. Now, unlike last year, there's no Keon White sort of prospect at Georgia Tech. So a lot of these guys are probably going to be grateful if they do get drafted. But I would say the most interesting name that comes to mind today was Dominic Blaylock, the former UGA Dog, and he worked out for scouts today. And he's really hopeful. He went through some struggles early in his career with injuries, but he's hoping to get drafted by somebody.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I remember when he was first at Georgia, the Dogs were super excited to have him. I mean, he came in. I want to see how many. Did you see how many stars he had out of high school?
High school, no, but I know early in his career at UGA, he had a bad ACL and some hamstring issues that really cost him a lot of games in his time. So it's really hard to get a gauge for the kind of player that he could be, just because he had such a hard time staying on the football field.
Yeah, I mean, listen, all this. What I should say is his freshman year and like early on at Georgia, he made some big plays for UGA, and then he struggled with injuries and he transferred out. I think he saw the writing on the wall that he wouldn't get as much playing time as he would want. He wanted to give himself a better opportunity, so he transferred to Georgia Tech. He's from right here, Atlanta, Georgia area.
Went to Walton.
Yeah, so it was good for obviously he wanted to stay close to home.
Yeah.
You said maybe if the right team picks him up, you could probably say that about any player, right? If the right team picks you up or whatever. But I think, realistically speaking, like being drafted and all that, I think it's going to be a really tough one. I think he'll probably sign as a free agent.
Yeah, and I think most of these I think a lot of these prospects at Georgia Tech are probably going to be on the undrafted free agent market. Maybe him, maybe a couple other guys that they had working out today. I could really see them really sort of.
He was a 5-star recruit.
He was? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he was good.
I didn't know he was that good.
2,600 total yards.
Wow.
15 receiving and 20 rushing touchdowns.
Well, look, you know what happens sometimes? Sometimes teams will look at a guy like that and go, you know what? Maybe we can unlock something in him that maybe couldn't get unlocked when he was at UGA or couldn't get unlocked. Last season he was pretty decent, so I mean maybe there's some things there that you can unlock at the NFL level that didn't reveal themselves at the college level. It happens sometimes.
You know what I think though, Scott, and I could be completely wrong, so nobody quote me on this. But this is like a show where we just discuss and
for sure.
Thoughts out there. He might have been able to come back for one more year to play, because he was definitely during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I think he went through injuries and stuff, so I don't know as far as that's concerned. But I do think he would have been able to come back for another season, or at least fought the NCAA on it, and probably would have been allowed to have another season, like with a hardship, given all the things he's been through. But, if that's the case, that tells me, he clearly understands that another year of college ball won't help him.
Oh, yeah. Because
you know what I'm saying? You're wearing and tearing in college ball when you want to be playing NFL. You probably have your degree already, like blah, blah, blah.
Now, not to compare him to this guy, of course, but I remember when Frank Gore was at the University of Miami, right? Now, Frank Gore is going to be in the Hall of Fame one day, so clearly I'm not comparing Dominic Blaylock with him. But Frank Gore was a guy who tore his ACL a couple times when he was in college. So he came out early because he didn't want any more wear and tear on his body. Was drafted by the 49ers, and the man never had another injury problem in his life and rushed for over 14,000 yards in his career and had a Hall of Fame career. He'll be in Canton one day. So clearly I'm not trying to say that's what Dominic Blaylock's future is, but there's precedence for guys who maybe in the past couldn't stay healthy, had some injury problems, and were able to get it together at the pro level by having a team take a chance on them and make a career out of it. So, look, good luck to him. They talked after practice today, him and LaMiles Brooks, who's defensive back, who is another young man who's hopeful that someone in the undrafted free agent market. Who knows how things goes in those later rounds too? 6th, 7th round. Teams take flyers on guys. They get extra draft picks, and maybe they'll take a flyer on a guy who may impress them at a pro day or something like that. Who knows? But both those guys spoke after practice today about their pro day experience, and they're really hopeful that someone's going to pick them up.
I felt like I came out here prepared. I felt good though. I was well conditioned and everything.
You've battled a lot of injuries just throughout your career, so I guess how did it feel just personally to be able to go through a pro day?
Yeah, I mean, I know I've battled a couple injuries here and there, but after today, I felt really good. I felt really good with all my speeds and everything, my cutting, and I felt good though.
How'd you run?
I did. I ran pretty good. They didn't give me official time or anything, but I felt really good out there.
This is one of those final processes for you guys before obviously the draft come up in April. Have you had a chance to kind of reflect on just your entire college career, as Alistair mentioned, the injuries and coming here and just kind of the whole process for you?
Yeah, I mean, the journey's been a long journey. It's been a fun journey though. I wouldn't take back a single moment of my whole journey, good or bad, but it's been a good process going through everything, but I've enjoyed it very much.
Coming here specifically, how do you think it's developed you for the next level in just your career as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, coming here, I think I helped being a leader more. Coming from Georgia, I know Georgia had a lot of leaders, but coming here, I felt like I had to put up a big role in leadership, so I felt like I did a pretty good job with that. But coming here was one of my best decisions. It's gotten me cultured through all the other meeting new friends and everything, but I love both programs that I've been through.
What will you remember the most just about your playing time at Georgia Tech?
Remember the most, honestly, just being out on the field with the boys. That's one of the greatest things, just being out on the field, especially at night, seeing the night lights of a football stadium with all your friends just basically on the sideline. And it was great experience, being UNC and everything, but it was a fun experience.
What was the biggest thing that you felt like you needed to still show out here besides the film that you already have? Was it just that you could make some cuts and be healthy and things like that?
Yeah, I think probably most people are just worried about my injury status, and so just coming out here, cutting on my knee and everything, on my legs, hopefully I showed, good progress through the whole situation and stuff.
Was there a chance you thought maybe I wouldn't do a pro day? I might not take that next step and try to go pro?
No, I mean, honestly, after my second ACL, it was very doubtful, but I pushed through, brought my spirits back up. A lot of people helped me on the way, and I felt like I, recovered very well, and so it was a good process going through, but I'm glad I chose to do a pro day and give it a shot.
What will you miss most about Georgia Tech's program?
What I miss most, the coaches, they were a great coaching staff. Even though they helped you on the field, they were helping you off the field and everything, and they were just a great group of staff. They're not just coaches; they're your best friends out there, and it was a great staff that coached me.
What's the most important thing that they taught you that's kind of stuck with you these past years?
Probably being a leader, leadership, resilience, and everything. If you want to play, big, you're gonna have to have good leadership. Speak up, and don't slack off or anything. But they taught me a lot of things coming out of Georgia Tech.
What do you think from the teams, if anything? What are they saying about your game? Anything they want to see from you until draft, and just kind of your status to that?
I mean, I haven't really. I'm not sure about that yet. I think they were just kind of worried about my injury and seeing if I can cut on my leg and all. But hopefully, I showed out on the field today. I improved on all my cuts and everything.
What sort of tools do you think you bring to an NFL team?
Sort of tools. I feel like I can be a guy that just, if they need me anywhere, just special teams, punt return, any special teams. I feel like I would be a good big role in. And receiver if I get a chance and show my skills, but I feel like I could just help out however way they would just need me.
Very confident today. I was just trying to go out there and leave my best on the line for real, just show everybody what I have, what I've been working on for the past 2 months, for my entire collegiate career. And I feel like I represented myself quite well today. And, I gave a great competitive performance. So I appreciate everyone who coming.
Did you talk to any teams? Anyone talk to you today? How are those conversations?
No, I haven't had any conversation with any teams today. Just got finished with my last rep on the DB drill, so I just came over here, and that's it.
How did you feel playing at Georgia Tech prepared you for the next level?
I enjoyed Georgia Tech. I enjoyed my entire tenure here. I feel like they prepared me for life after football, not just for football on the next level, but just as a whole individual in the classroom and just life skills. Being a people person and just, being a student of the game, knowing how to prepare and be mentally ready for any type of adversity.
You've always been kind of a philosophical guy. Like, how's your approach been with just getting ready for NFL and stuff with that?
Well, this is a new level. It's not college, so I definitely had to go back to the drawing board and revise some of my goals, make new goals, and set those goals and then multiply them by 10, just so I know I'm doing my due diligence and trailing a blaze for people to come after me. I know it's a new beginning, so I'm very sponge-like when it comes to information, and very receptive for anything that comes my way, and I'm just humbly looking to grow.
Anything else for Miles?
What is an NFL team getting in you if they decide to draft you?
They're getting a determined beast, just relentless, smart, intuitive, perseverant person, humble, and just an advocate for just development.
Did you get any numbers out there today on your 40? Did anyone give you any heads up on kind of how you did, or did you have a number in mind you were trying to reach?
I came to my teammates and they told me they clocked a 4.39, mid 4.4s, but yeah, something fast I was expecting.
How did it feel to just be on, representing Georgia Tech for the last time potentially of your career, being out here with some of your teammates?
Man, it's an honorable blessing. Just to be an image for my teammates, so they can see me and watch what they have to, embrace or take on in their near future. It's just an honor just to wear the GT brand, just to represent and be a leader, a role model for the community, and just for everyone to just to receive a blessing and just for me to pour into. So.
Maybe you answered this already while on the phone. So if someone were to look at your game and how it translates to the next level, what would you say things that you can bring to an NFL franchise that helps them?
I can definitely bring perseverance, determination, wit, most importantly, intellect, intelligence, and just, like I said, a passion to grow and develop.
I will go for those guys, and let's hope they get picked up by somebody, because just talking to Blaylock and Brooks and those guys, those are two really good dudes and two players who are very humble, and I have a feeling that they'll get looked at by someone and maybe brought to camp as a camp body, and then if that happens, it's on them what they do with it, right?
They'll have a chance for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So many get chances, but whether they actually make a roster is
that's a whole other
dependent
story.
on however they show up and all the other things. You know what I'm saying?
So we got Atlanta United this weekend. They'll be at home against Orlando City.
Biggest rival.
Well, I know they were talking about that this week with their, talking about how much of a rivalry it is, and maybe we'll see some fights. That'd be cool, right?
Stop. No, we're not. It's not hockey, okay?
Not that kind of rivalry?
No. 67,000 fans were there last weekend, over 67,000, to watch them win against New England in their home opener. They're 1-1 on the season. But, Scott, tell me what other than, out in, far away west, how many people actually show up to a match like that? It's crazy. It was the third most attended match or game of the weekend in the world. Not just in the U.S., in the world. And the other two were both soccer events in Europe.
Soccer's different. It just look. I don't understand it because it's not a sport I've ever been passionate about. But fans around the world are passionate about it. They love it. It's like the most popular sport in the world, right? So hey, it is what it is. So real quick, what's on your mind?
Nothing. Go.
All right.
No, look, what's on your
Nothing go.
mind?
Hey, look.
We don't have time for what's on my mind.
I know, it's really
I'm a
cool.
woman. It's complex.
Well,
How does a woman say what's on her mind in 10 seconds? She doesn't.
well, look, I'll just say that the Hawks once again tonight on Peachtree TV, Peachtree Sports Network in Utah against the Jazz. They beat them not too long ago. Beat them good,
You
almost
sure?
by 30. They beat them. They beat them. And so now hopefully they can get the season sweep of the Utah Jazz. But for me, I'm Scott Pennyman. Emily, always nice.
a
We'll
great
be
night.
back at it next week. Have a great night, everybody.